Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Azabi here, back again with Demon Slayer. We are on episode 25, and that means it's the penultimate episode, only 2 episodes left, and I figured that we would be going into a rehabilitation, sort of phase at the end of this season, a couple episodes back, with Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, but I also figured that there would be some kind of big event that obviously happens to end off the season, to take you into the next season, as generally that is what these kind of shows do. There is something that happens towards the end of the season that's big, and you know what I mean, will it'll be something that will affect the characters going into season 2. Now, because we are in the rehabilitation stage with the main group, I feel like that forces the action over towards the Hashira side of things, specifically because Kyojuro is off on a mission where he believes there is an upper moon, and with it being an upper moon, I'm scared because it's not going to be an easy dispatch like Gyu did to Rui. I feel like with the upper moons, it's going to be a different kettle of fish, and with the whole thing of a show specific, especially a show like this, there has to be stakes. So I'm worried for specifically Kyojuro, but overall kind of the Hashira in general, because I don't see anything truly bad happening to our main group, like Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, and Nezuko. But the Hashira are kind of, I feel like they're just up there in terms of pecking order of if anyone was to die right now, it would be a Hashira. And with it being the very end of the season, a big event happening, action-wise, I feel like that's what we're going to get. We're going to see most likely Kyojuro actually fight, and that's what will end off with the action in this season. But I'm scared for him a bit. Now I could be underestimating him. But I just feel like the upper moons have to be just a different beast. They have to be, because otherwise, it's too easy. And there has to be stakes in the show, and therefore I feel like the Hashira are kind of up for a slaughter a bit. So I'm a bit worried. I'm not gonna lie, especially with Kyojuro, because Kyojuro is the last person I thought out of the Hashira that would bite the bullet, specifically first, because I don't think Gyu's not in that position, anywhere near that position right now to die. Shinobu, more so, less so, because I feel like she has now given the reins of the whole, her whole dream over to Tanjiro, and that's kind of lifted the weight off her shoulders now. So I feel like that's being passed on. So it's less so with Shinobu, but I still think she's fine. And also the fact that Aoi can do medicine like her, not to the same extent, but she can a bit. So I don't know, it's a bit more worrisome, I suppose, for Shinobu than Gyu. But with Kyojuro being so straightforward and straight-laced, you can tell his kind of persona is so kind of he's always smiling, everything like that. So the fact that if he was to go first, I'd be very shocked. But he's the one I'm scared for most right now, because he's the one on the mission. But yeah, there is that. I also wrote down something I didn't talk about last episode or the episode before in relation to Tengen, because he's a sound Hashira, right? So he has something sound related. It's interesting, and I wonder if there's going to be anything involving Zenitsu and him, in some kind of connection between those two, because Zenitsu has got really good hearing. So I wonder if there's something there, because I don't think there's anything against having multiple masters, right? Teaching you things along the way, because you're always learning. I wonder if it's a case of Shinobu said that she was going to take to Tsuguko, more Tsuguko on. So I wonder if it could be a case for other Hashira having their own Tsuguko, and if you could have Zenitsu under Tengen, and that would be really interesting. And having them two play off each other, I think would be really interesting, because Tengen's all about this flamboyant kind of all of that kind of stuff, and because Zenitsu being the way that he is, I think it would be an interesting pairing between those two. So I hope that kind of happens, but we'll see. So yeah, there's that. And I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. Yeah, Shinobu obviously talked about her dreams. I talked about that. And yeah, Tanjiro's trying to get to a point where he can like use his breathing techniques like 24/7, which I talked about last episode about how I thought that was what the whole Hinokami breathing thing was all about, and I thought that was exclusive to him, but apparently not. So it's something that all the Hashira can do, and Kanao can do it as well. And so I'm wanting to get a bit more information on that, and like how that ties into anything regarding like Hinokami dance breathing or whatever, because I thought that was like a whole special thing that only Tanjiro would have access to, but it appears not. But anyway, yeah, I'm not going to ramble on anymore. We're going to get in episode 25. So yeah, if you do want to go watch the reaction, the link is in the description for the 10-minute version. There's also the link to the full length. If you do want to have the whole thing and not just the 10-minute version, then that will take it on my Patreon, and then you can go from there. So yeah, nothing else to really talk about. We're going to get in episode 25 though and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 25, right, so we got some information on, more information on Kanao and where she came from. So yeah, I did ask, like, an episode ago, or a couple of episodes ago, about, Kanao and, like, Aoi and the little kids, the 3 kids, and if they were, like, orphans that came in, or if they had connections, like some kind of relatives to Shinobu in some kind of way, but specifically with Kanao anyway, she was like an orphan that they took in. I mean, well, technically not an orphan, but it basically it's not their kid or anything, like their kid's sister or something like that. So yeah, she was abused as a child. Those fucking parents, man, like what the fuck is that? I mean, that's the thing, is like that's what Kanao like called them, like, or at least that dude anyway, but she referred to, like, at least him anyway as a parent. So I assume, but like the way that he was talking about like why why like she's tied up and everything, and why you're selling her and everything, because like she's covered in fleas and shit like that. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, well, if you're the parent, right, well then surely that's your fucking fault. Like, just what a prick. But it doesn't matter. It all worked out in the end anyway. And even though now she still retains, I guess, that, like, even after all this time, she still retains all the things from before. Like, I guess she's learned to sort of smile. But, like, paired with Shinobu, it's interesting. Like, going into it, like the whole, obviously, because Shinobu has been like that since we met her, like she's very, like, she doesn't put on, like, she's not very emotive, and she's got like that sort of just straight, like that face that she has all the time, and her like sort of different emotions are like slightly come through, but not a lot at all. And then having Kanao be like, under her, and like having the same sort of thing. But like back then, not knowing what we do now about her, that like they come from 2 different situations where it kind of ended them up being sort of similar in that way, which is like kind of interesting, because you had on Shinobu's side, that was like right, I think, with the whole beforehand, before Kanae had died, she was more emotive, and you could see that in her, and like she emoted a hell of a lot more when she was like that, like sort of feigned like anger at the sister or whatever, because she wasn't like taking the whole Kanao thing seriously and stuff. Like you could see that like she was a different, she held herself differently and stuff like that back then. But then after Kanae died, it sort of just weighed on her that much that that's where it kind of they like to use that analogy of the rope snapping or the string snapping or whatever. They've done that a couple times now, but it's where their emotions just get cut off, and it's like they've been either tormented too much, like to the point where it just all becomes nothing, like what's the point, like it's just like they basically cease to be themselves anymore, or for traumatic experience, and that cuts them off in some sort of way. But yeah, having them to be you know, like the master and the student, but like having them be relatively similar in that regard, but for two different reasons is interesting, because like specifically going in and not knowing that for the first time. So that's cool. But yeah, interestingly, you know, I really like Kanae. It sucks that she's dead, because it's like she was really cool. You know, and I noticed that she was polishing what I assume is her blade, so she must have been a demon slayer beforehand, and that's where obviously Shinobu sees that you know, sees Kanae in Tanjiro, because you know, it's not just the fact of how they feel about demons and stuff like that being similar, but the fact is they were both demon slayers as well. So like having that sort of pairing there, like obviously it works. You know, a hell of a lot more there. But yeah, she was cleaning a sword there. I didn't see what the color was. I think it was red though, which is interesting, because didn't they say that was like the sword forger guy did say that was a big like a big deal having a red one, and that it's like sort of, it makes the sword forger proud if like a sword that he created had a red one. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have a look. Why not? I can do that. But while I'm looking for it, so yeah, we had some interesting talk between Tanjiro and Shinobu about the Hinokami dance breathing, and that it's interesting that there is flame breathing, which is what Kyojuro does, but they are strict with the wording, and fire breathing is like, they said that it was like truly strict with it, and I assume that came from like higher up or whatever. Like it seems like, you know, Shinobu she's not aware. Oh no, it's pink. It's pink. It's pink. I was wondering what it was, but I remember it being some colour, and I thought it was red, but it looks pink to me. But oh well, regardless. So yeah, but you know, back to this whole thing. I find it very interesting that, yeah, they're very strict with it. Shinobu doesn't seem to understand why. It's just that's what it is, and you know, and that's the reason why. So she was talking about how, well, your father seemed to, what I think she said, I need, you know, fire breathing and everything that Tanjiro's father had. That's what it seems like anyway. Yeah, so for some reason, Tanjiro, your father, used fire breathing. That's what she's saying, right? So Hinokami dance breathing is fire breathing, right? That's what we're assuming, like, it is the thing. And I wonder if they purposefully called it Hinokami dance breathing because of the fact of, like, you would probably get confused if it was fire and flame, like having them two so close. But yeah, they just call it fire breathing. So I need to know, like, I'm interested to see the differences. I want to see Kyojuro fight and see his breathing technique and seeing how it looks different. You know, who knows? He might burn hot, so it might be like blue fire with him. Who knows? But yeah, they are strict with it. So it's definitely something that is specialized, that was given up from, I assume, like very long ago, like back at the top of you know, like the hierarchy. So it would have been a master at some point or something. Whoever passed that down is like basically made it so that flame breathing and fire breathing are two totally different things, and therefore that's why they're strict with the idea of like flame breathing is not fire breathing. Fire breathing is like specific and special. Flame breathing is like not. You know what I mean? It's just like another form of breathing. So yeah, that's interesting. Right, what next? I guess we'll go to the very beginning. So yeah, I was talking about how it was interesting that Nezuko outmaneuvered Kanao in that regard. Like because obviously Nezuko isn't doing the breathing, is she? Right? But she was able to outmaneuver Kanao back in, you know, when she was running away from her, which is interesting. So yeah, Nezuko is very sort of maneuverable. She can I guess that's obviously down to her being a demon and having those like physical abilities. She's able to do that, so and it helps that she can shrink. So there, I love the fact that the kids are so supportive and like enthusiastic about anything going on. You know what I mean? They're so just they're happy to help. That's really really cool and cute. Zenitsu saying that he doesn't work hard, I thought it was interesting because it makes sense when we were learning about him before. His master always like forced him into it, right? And that's what one of the first things we even heard Zenitsu talk about was how like I didn't ask for this, I was forced into it, kind of thing. So yeah, it's like it's interesting when he has the option to train out of his own free will, that he kind of struggles with it. He doesn't really have the motivation to go and do it. So yeah, and then they called the breathing, I suppose, non-stop. They call it the total concentration constant. So yeah, there's a specific term for it, I suppose. And yeah. So I guess going back to Kanao as well, flipping the coin. I like that. I find that very interesting, and that's obviously part of the reason why I think Kanae is very interesting. Like a very cool older sister that I'm sad that she's not with us anymore. But I do like the idea of the flipping of the coin, that it sort of puts her on a track, like put Kanao on a track of like she doesn't do anything unless she's commanded to. At that point, she just became almost a fucking just a robot to be commanded, because of how much she was abused. But having been given the coin in her own head, she obviously, because that's the only time we've ever heard her speak, like heard her voice is in her own head, so she clearly doesn't speak out. But the idea of like if she has something in her head to decide like what to do, it's almost like she's given herself a command in a way, and it's not directly from her. So it kind of it works well, I suppose, in a kind of transitionary period for her. Interestingly enough, Kanae did talk about how it's like this will work out or whatever until you find basically find a boyfriend. You know what I mean? So they like they'll get her out there. I think Kanae is like very like effeminate in that regard. That like what I mean? She's very feminine in that sort of aspect. That she sort of it's like about like trying to get like about the boys and stuff. So I like that she sort of instilled that within Kanao, because obviously Kanao didn't have the option, I suppose, to just be a child. So I love the fact that they're like taking care of her and like giving her like that kind of that kind of treatment. So that's really cool. And yeah, we don't know the choice that Kanao gave herself when she flipped the coin. I don't know. I assume it is like, because she was told before, like by Shinobu, like, do you not want to go train with them or anything like that? And I guess that's what she gave herself. It's like, do I train with them or not? And it flipped the coin on the side that said not, I suppose. And I also noticed the flip of the coin. Like I guess I wasn't paying a lot of attention. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, interesting. She has a coin. But from my memory, I can't remember the two sides being any different, really. So that's interesting. I wonder if it's just a kid. I don't know. I may have to look, I guess. Because if it is... if they are the same on either side, then that's even more ingenious, I feel like. But we'll see. I just want to see if I could not tell. How do I know? Hold on. I need to try and fucking bastard. Right. So hold on. I'll get it up so you can see. Right. So there's this, and it's like, because it's a Japanese symbol, but the other side looked very similar, and I don't know. Let's just count the flowers, because surely the flowers aren't going to be the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So there's 6 in there. And then... yeah, so there is different... obviously, I assume the kanji, I assume that's kanji, right? Is obviously different on either side. So yeah, it is different. Okay, I was just wondering because it looked similar, like when I was watching it in real time pace. You know what I mean? I was like, they look similar. You know, and I wasn't like fully focused on it because I was thinking about, you know, the reason why she had a coin. But yeah. So anyway, yeah. So that is that's cool. But what else? Yeah, and then obviously we had the crew get their Nichirin swords back, so that's really cool. You know, we had a new guy who made Inosuke's swords. Which is he's named Kinemori. He made Inosuke's swords, and the color is indigo grey for him. I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? But I figured I would write it down anyway, just in case it does have some meaning later on that, you know, we can obviously tie to the color. So yeah, and then at the very end there we had Tanjiro sitting down with Nezuko. It seems the way that he was talking, he's going to go on a mission without Nezuko. I guess as long as Nezuko's asleep. Obviously he can't, but you know, if she wakes up, I don't know what he'll do, if he'll really will go out on a mission with her. I mean, the thing is, the master specifically stated that, you know, go out and fight you know, villains together, I suppose. Although he also said, like, go and kill a you know, a 12 Kizuki. You know, and I guess theoretically he doesn't need Nezuko for that, though. I mean, last time he did, and even then he still didn't get, you know, the final killing blow on Rui, so I don't know. But he got a telepathic message from Nezuko, which, I don't know, I thought was interesting, like, if it truly was there, or what Tanjiro is actually doing is, like, he knows how Nezuko will react. He knows how she thinks. So it could be a case of, like, Tanjiro is just sort of talking in his own head what he sees, like what he thinks Nezuko is basically saying, because he knows her that well. And I assume that is actually what it is. Like, but the thing is, it did take him by surprise when, you know, when he said it. But I don't know, it could be a subconscious working against him. Or it could literally just be that she actually did telepathically communicate with him. I don't know. Because who knows what Nezuko is capable of in that demon form. But yeah. The thing is that with the way Tanjiro reacted to it, like, he was surprised and shocked, but then he was almost like... It's like he wasn't fazed at the idea that he just got a telepathic message. So it makes me think that it wasn't a real thing, and that's just what he's thinking. He's thinking that that's what Nezuko feels like. So, you know, I don't know. And then, yeah, before we reached the credits, we saw a train with a horrific looking demon on it. And I wonder if this is the thing that Kyojuro is going after. I don't know. I mean, there's a reason why they showed it. It's not going to be Tanjiro that's dealing with this, I'm sure. Although I don't know. I mean, the next episode is called New Mission, but if they can do it in one episode, I suppose they can. I suppose there's nothing to say that they can't do that. You know, but I don't know. I don't know. I want to see Kyojuro fight. You know, I mean, let's say that this is Kyojuro's fight. Then I guess that would support the idea that this demon that we just saw there was the upper moon that he was talking about. You know, but he seemed very feral, like, you know, and I have an image in my head of, like, all the upper moons would not be feral, and they would have a lot of control over themselves. You know, though I guess it would be cool to have a feral one, like, being upper moon, just because he's that strong. But I don't think that'll be the case. I guess there's nothing to say that he can't obviously talk. You know what I mean? It's just that he looks feral. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have, like, obviously, cognitive thought. You know, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that in the last episode. But that is all I've got for this episode. So yeah, I'm very excited for the finale. But I'm going to be sad that it's over and I'm going to have to wait. But you know, it is what it is. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I've links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So you know, if you don't support me, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards there, like early access, $5 a month gives you access to shows a week early. There's also $10 there for full length if you do want to watch any of these in full, and there's also other tiers where you can pay to have a show reacted to as well, so go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer if you wish. But that's all I got, so thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.